Look at that. Time for it. Oh, it's not plugged in. Oh, we're good. Okay. That's not the thing we need. YouTube. Coffee's dripping. I can see it. Gotta be patient. And here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Monday, July 20th, 2020. It's a lot of 20s. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. Well, I hope you had a fantastic weekend. I hope you're looking forward to a great week. It was hot. Man, I think it's hot. At least everywhere in the U.S. We had temperatures approaching 100 yesterday in Vermont. 97. That was the hottest I saw on my car dash. But wouldn't surprise me if we had places that were warmer. Saturday was much cooler. It was only 90. Today is supposed to be just about as hot. Very high 80s, 88. It's been a hot summer. Fortunately, I was able to hang out in the pool yesterday. Hang out in the pool with kids. That's the best thing to do. Swim around and play silly games with kids in pools. Because there's no expectation of having to organize anything or get out for anything. You just lounge around and just be less hot. What else did I do this weekend? Worked in the yard a little bit. I had a tree that split that I had to cut, and I'm looking at it now, and it completely changes what I can see out there. It kind of makes me sad. I'm starting to work on... Frank said it was hot at the parking lot at work too. I'm sure. Parking lots have got to be one of the hottest places. Just because all that asphalt baking and all those cars giving off heat, and usually no shade. I've got to find a good way to start getting a lot of trees together, because I've done the math, and buying the trees is just not going to be economical for what I'm trying to do. I've got this back edge of my property, and the trees are starting to die. You know, they're getting old, and it's time to start planting more trees. So that's going to be a project either over the winter if I grow them myself, or maybe I'll find a source for inexpensive trees. But it's time. It's time for trees. What's going on today? Today I have cleared most of my schedule. If you've been watching the last few weeks, you know I've got a tooth thing going on, and it's been causing me some stress. Well, today is the day that I go to the prostodontist. And hey, how about you scoot over here so I can sit back a little bit? Oh, I know. Do you want to say hi? There's a cat. Say hi to the people. Look on the couch. There you go. So that's today, and my appointment's at 10:30, and I've cleared everything I can for the day, because I don't know how long it's going to go. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know how I'm going to feel after. You know, I'll be honest. I'm nervous. I'm nervous because I don't know what's going to happen. They could tell me, hey, that tooth's coming out, and it's going to cost you $1 million. I don't know. I have no idea. But I feel more confident because someone who watches this show actually reached out. One of our Vermont viewers reached out and said, I've been to that prostodontist, and you will be fine. So I don't name names of people unless they want me to, so shout out to that person. You know who you are. At some point here, when it's not 90 degrees, I'll go to Taekwondo. Classes have started back up. On a Monday, because that's the one day I have as an option. And that's it. I'll probably go to the gym and work out. I look forward to that. Gotta get outside, water some plants. It's gonna be a light day, and I'm probably gonna feel like I'm not doing anything because of it. But you know what? It's what it is. I hope you had a good weekend. I hope whatever you're doing today is good, and if it's hot, I hope you stay out of the heat as much as possible. So let's check out. Oh, and it's Monday, so there should be a show. Let's see if there's a show. Doesn't look like there's one yet. Okay. We'll check on that when we're done. All right. And today we've got 3 quotes coming in from Frank. So shout out and thank you to Frank. If I go as hard as I can in practice, make sure it's a lot harder than a fight. Then the fight's going to be easy. Rashad Evans. Rashad Evans is a MMA fighter. It's an interesting approach, and one that I have to say I really agree with. If you can get to a point in anything that you do where the level that you take it on your own and in practice is of such intensity, then you're going to do just fine when you're doing it for real, so to speak, when you're in the ring, when you're in competition, whatever. This doesn't apply to everything, of course, right? How do you make doing your form more real? It's kind of hard. You could live stream it. But what is the quote really talking about? The more realistic you make your practice, the smaller the gap between your practice and the actual application. And this applies to anything that we do with our training. It applies to competition, it applies to self-defense, it applies to your testings, it applies to things that aren't martial arts. And I think it's an important concept. I think it's something that a lot of people don't put the value into. They always try to leave something for competition. If you think about that, the energy that you're able to open, it's not the best word, but it's the only one I can come up with. The energy that you apply to something, and if you're constantly saying, well, I'll just give more in competition. Well, the more you can push it in training, the more you'll have in competition, because competition will always be more. Right? You'll always be able to find a way to push and stretch more when the chips are down. Right? So don't be afraid, once in a while, to go hard in competition, in training. Good one. Next, from Fumio Demura. Be respectful of your sensei. Frank says, maybe I mean effort. Yeah, effort could work there too, instead of energy. The gist of it that I'm going for there is the more you push, the more you will develop the ability to push more. It's a trainable skill, like anything else. So this quote from Fumio Demura is interesting because, to my knowledge, he doesn't usually talk about these things. Be respectful of your sensei. Be respectful of the people teaching you. It's something most people don't need to hear. Some people need to hear. Some people need to hear it all the time. Some people are combative and arrogant. And they should feel blessed that they have an instructor that tolerates that of them. My interview with him will remain one of the most memorable moments of my life. It was a great moment. To me, he embodies everything that martial arts is. He achieved fame, but he didn't get rich. And he became famous because he did some really cool stuff, namely movie and stunt work. He brought kabuto, weapons, into the spotlight in the United States. He has taught a number of martial artists, very skilled martial artists. He's written a ton of books. I have this theory that everyone has something they can be better at than anybody else in the world. But because so few of us try enough different things, we don't find it. Fumio Demura found it. He found what he was supposed to do. No one else could have done what he did as well as he did it. And honestly, still does. I'm fortunate that I am Facebook friends with one of his students. Trying to remember the title he used. We'll just say Sensei. Bob Sharoni is one of Demura's students, and we're Facebook buds, and I get to see a little bit behind the scenes with what goes on with Fumio Demura, and I'm so blessed for that. This is a man who just means so much to me. And admittedly, not the person, because I don't know the person, but the things that he's done, the ways he's contributed to the world, and I consider him to be a role model. A student's mentality in learning martial arts is to overcome one's problems. Chun. Overcome problems. When we train, we learn to overcome problems. Difficult technique, a form that's hard to remember, a sequence of movements that doesn't maybe work well with your body. Do you say, yeah, I'm done? Or do you find a way? Do you practice the technique? Do you get somebody to help you with the form? Or maybe get a video so you can watch it and practice? Or do you maybe work on some flexibility so that sequence of movements isn't as hard to put together? There's always a way. And there's always a way in life. Right? Grunty cat. I hope you could hear that. I doubt it. She just went, sounds like a dog. It was really hot here last night. I opened the windows as best I could. Actually, no, I didn't when I went to bed. That's what it was. Because I went to bed and it was still hot out, and I had the air conditioner on for a couple hours before I went to bed, which is something I very rarely do. And it was decent, but as the air-conditioned air faded out of the building, the house, I woke up. It was a little sweaty, so I opened all the windows, and it was just cool enough. It got down to 70 degrees last night, which I know for some of you in some parts of the country you might think, wow, I wish it got down to 70 at night. But here, we have plenty of summer days where 70 is the high. Like when it gets into the upper 50s at night, and we'll say lower 80s during the day. That's a good Vermont day. Because then you can go out, you can go swimming, and it cools off at night. Plants are happy, your house cools off. It's a good thing. We talk about martial arts as being personal growth, as this tool set that helps you face life. But nobody gives you the tools. You have to create them. There's a process. There's a path. You're not the first one. But imagine being a builder where someone says, okay, you're ready to learn how to hammer, but first I have to teach you how to make a hammer. That's martial arts. Once you have that hammer, the adage when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. That applies here. So then you learn how to make a screwdriver and a wrench and a ruler and all the other tools that you would need. And the more time you put into those tools, the more useful they are, the more you value them. And then you get to take that toolbox out whenever you want and use it for anything. You use it inside training, you use it outside training. And I think people forget that. I think too many people build that hammer, they put it away, and they only take it out a few hours a week when they put their belt on. It's not what it's meant for. It's meant to have hanging off your belt 24 hours a day. That hammer's always there. I don't like my analogy as much as when I started, can you tell? Don't be afraid to push yourself. Don't shy from the challenge. I think that's the final thought for today. All right. I'm going to finish my coffee. I'm going to go figure out what's going on with, I think it's episode 520. And look for that in your podcast feed. Oh, Frank says, like Thor and his hammer. Perfect. That makes me feel better about my analogy. Thank you. Shout out to Frank. Thank you for leaving 3 great quotes, as always. Yeah. I hope you have a great day. I hope you'll leave me a question or a quote or a comment or a story or something for me to respond to for tomorrow's episode, because we do this show every weekday, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, here on YouTube. Catch it later, of course, on YouTube or in your podcast feed. What else? If you want to support the work that we do, whistlekick.com, use the code FIRSTCUP15, or Patreon, patreon.com/whistlekick. That's it. Have a fantastic day, everyone. I will see you back here tomorrow. Peace.